viewers, welcome back to the Southland Auto Channel. That's a 2012 Ford Focus. It's the SE, it's the 2.0, it's the automatic, and the money light's on. I let it go through a system scan, and it does have a P0014 pending and current, and wow, that escalated quickly. The customer told me that it had this 0014 in it, but they also said they had it at another shop who made the call on the PCM. They said that it had an internal computer malfunction, so they brought it here to have the computer replaced and reflashed. However, I think what we'll do ahead of that is we need to look at this. So we're going to look at some data here. That was exhaust cam, right? I think so. We're going to look. Ford's pretty good about this. Let's see here. So we want to find exhaust cam. Can you guys see, hopefully? Minus. So this is desired minus actual. So what the exhaust cam timing is calling for versus what it actually is. It calculates what it's calling for, what it is, deducts it to. Theoretically, this should stay around 0 if it's moving the amount that it should. And then we want to see, we want to make sure that it's actually trying to move it. And we will look at intake also. It should have the same thing here, right there and there. So there's that. Let's go for a drive real quick, just see where it's at. See if it's like broke, or if it's working fine. We'll get this up in a graph. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I don't mean to kind of sidetrack here, but I'm suspicious of the cam phaser solenoids. This is not super uncommon. So this is the easiest way, fastest way to tell. I'm going to get these up in a graph here. So it's going to be these little guys here. So these are real similar to GM, or real similar to a lot of vehicles that use variable cam timing. They have external solenoids that control the oil pressure going to the phasers on the end of the camshaft to allow it to advance or retard the cam as it's designed. So I say we go for a drive, we look at it, we see what it's doing. Possibly to maybe save some time, maybe we'll even back probe into the exhaust here. I hate fiddling with connections too much right now, but maybe we'll do that. We'll just probe into it. We'll take it for a drive, that way we can have it on our scope too, and make sure that it's receiving a command and all that stuff, assuming it's still broke. But apparently, according to this lady, they clear the code and immediately comes back, so I'm assuming it's broke. They plug in kind of rough. We're just going to use the Altel scope because we have it hooked up currently inside the car. And then I think what we'll try to do here, we use a couple of these back probes that it comes with. And we're just going to probe into the back of the exhaust solenoid here. Hopefully we make a good connection. I always put the battery maintainer on them when we have them in here, key on, engine off, because it's such a big draw that, you know, if a car's battery is kind of old, which this one looks to be original possibly, I just don't want it going dead on my watch. So, stick that under the wiper in case we accidentally turn it on like a ding dong. You never know with this guy. Right, we're good. Fail. Perfect. Got 114 on it, lights on. Okay, let me turn off the AC here. Okay, and you can see right now they're both around 0. Now there's gonna be little bumps in them, like if you whap the throttle, simply because they can only move so quickly. This is gonna be the one we're focused on, is the exhaust. So what you have, I guess I'll give you an example. So right now the intake cam being duty cycle controlled at 0%, and it should be around, you know, 0 degrees of variance or difference between commanded and actual. Now you can see it's being commanded at 30%, and our actual is still, or our variance between commanded and actual is around 0, which is perfect. But you can see our exhaust is being commanded at 0, and we're still at 0. So that's good. But when we bump the throttle there, we do get some command. So what we need to do now, we need to I don't use this scope a lot, so we're gonna fumble here a little bit. We're gonna pop into the scope here. Hopefully it just auto-populates, because it should be a duty cycle controlled signal here. So let's we're gonna go to the 20 volt scale, and then we'll change our time. Now let's say 100 milliseconds. Let's just whap the throttle here a little bit. Okay, so that's where it kicked on. Okay, fantastic. Let's change our scale a little more. So that's the exhaust. So we are getting a command there, so that's good. Now what we need to know, let's see, I think we can split screen this baby. We'll go back here. I think there's a button to do that with. Okay, so we got our scope there. We got exhaust cam B, so this is going to be our exhaust cam bank 1 over here. So now what we want to do is we want to go for a drive, see what our differential is. Our intake shouldn't be having a problem. The exhaust is the one it says it has a problem with. So we're going to look and see what our difference is versus to make sure our signal's actually making it there, and that should be enough data for us to make a call. So let me get my seatbelt on here. Now some of you may wonder why our signal is going low on that. That's because I got the probes hooked up wrong. Oh, this is interesting. We're getting a fault right off the get-go. Well, would you look at that? So I'll hold this, I think, let's see, I'm trying to drive and not kill everyone here. So I can see that the command over, so let's look at the left side of the screen here. See it commanding at about an 80% duty cycle, but then you also see that the differential PID there at the top is showing the difference of 30 some degrees. So apparently 80% duty cycle translates to 30 degrees of cam timing that it wants, and you can see that the signal is there. The difference is 10 degrees. I mean, it's not good, folks. All right, let me before I crash here. Well, I didn't expect that to be that easy. We didn't get to the end of Main Street. We barely made it to the stop sign, and we made the call. Well, kind of. We kind of made the call. Now let's see here. Hopefully, let me turn here. I don't see anything coming. I'll show you what a good system. We're gonna have to scroll down here. So look at the intake. You see how the intake's being commanded? Well, not now, but there it is at 30 whatever percent, and the differential between actual and desired is at and around 0. That's how that should look. And then when you look back at that exhaust, that's bad news bears. It's trying to command it. It looks like the PCM is trying to take control of it. It's got some kind of strategy. We can see what it's doing there. It's probably when code's maturing, it's doing its best to move it. The camshaft is not moving at all. It is stuck in a fixed position. And then that's probably when it gives us the bird and says, hey, you're broke, fella. And I think it just keeps trying to repeat that cycle. So very interesting. But we learned a lot. I know holding the camera is not real ideal for you folks, but it's the best I can do. We're back to the shop, folks. What did we learn? That was pretty handy. Sometimes videos work out better than I expect they will. We learned that the code generated is 100% correct. The exhaust cam is not moving. It's physically staying stationary. The solenoid that controls it, that controls the oil flow to the phaser, appears to be receiving its signal. It's when the PCM says, hey, I'm trying, I'm sending 80% duty cycle to this guy, it's actually making it there because we could see it on the scope. It's showing up. It says, hey, I'm here, do something. But then when we saw the other data PID, the actual minus desired, we see that it was skewed, 30 degrees. Whatever, it was trying to command it. It says, hey, move 30 degrees. The cam phaser says, nope, not today. and it is stuck. So there was our 30 degrees of difference, and you could see how the intake worked and how it kind of stayed right about 0, which is ideal. So at this point, what do we have to do? We need to check that solenoid. A couple things we can do with that. Unfortunately, you got to pull the stinking valve cover to get these ones out. We can do an ohm check on it. Is it there electrically? And then after that, we could we can jumper power to it. Sometimes you can hear them clicking. There's a you can do that. And then the next thing to do is to just simply take it out and replace it. So let's try that. I don't know if we'll be able to get one today or if I'm going to get permission from this customer to do that, because like I say, they were expecting to have the computer replaced based on the other shop's diagnosis. So what we'll do, folks, is we'll do a quick ohm check on here. I don't know what the value is. We know the intake one is good though. It's probably in the mid-20s is what I would suspect. So let's check a known good value here. I don't suspect that we're going to find it as off. So 9.5 ohms. Alright, that's on a good one. So much for my hypothesis of being in the 20s, huh? I would suspect it would set a fault code for a circuit problem if this was too far off. Plug the pin in here. Come on, baby. That one is at 44 ohms. So you do have a problem there, lady. I believe these are the same part number. I don't think the connectors are any different. I can't imagine that the coil resistance would be any different. The connectors are exactly the same. So the solenoids have to be the same. So let me verify that. If that's the case, then we're done. We're done, folks. Indeed, they are the same. So I just called my friendly Ford dealer, local Ford dealer. Both solenoids, same part number. Being that the intake works fine, I'm going to have to go with that, approximate 10 ohm value, and the fact that the one that's broken is around 40 ohms, then, that's it. At this point, show's over. We know what we know. We know it's receiving the command, and we know it's not moving, and we know electrically it's not open, but it's getting there. And that explains why the PCM hasn't flagged a fault against it electrically, is because I think all it's looking for is, power in, power out. As long as it's receiving that 12 volts back on the command wire or on the control wire, the PCM assumes the circuit's intact, and, away we go. Regardless, it's best to go through and figure out why it needs it, what actually failed. So that's that. And don't fail me by heading into that comment section, the Insta, the Facebook, the bell ringing. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.